Hello again, I'm Matthew Gore from thewetpen.com, and last spring I splurged a bit and I bought several Indian fountain pens, including two from one of my absolute favorite Indian pen companies, Ranga, and this is the first one. This pen is a Ranga Splendour, a large, beautifully handmade acrylic pen. This acrylic is not even one of their premium ones, this is a standard, but I've always wanted a pen made from this material. These swirls of blue and white remind me of the puffy clouds and the bright blue summer skies of my childhood in Montana. Mine is a little different than a lot of others that you'll see because I had mine custom made with a pointed body but a rounded cap. Normally, this Splendour is available with ends that are both rounded, both torpedo pointed, or both short conical peaks. And as always, this pen is perfectly machined and polished. Notice how the bright, chatoyant line in this acrylic of the body matches up perfectly with the one in the cap. The clip on this Splendour is a nice solid one, with smooth curves and a good polish. And it's a perfect size for a hefty pen like this. This is a clip that can be found on a variety of different brands of Indian pens, and it's probably my favorite. Unfortunately, there's no branding on the pen anywhere. The cap unscrews in just over 1.5 turns, which is about perfect in my book. And the threads themselves feel perfect. Smooth, with no tight or sticky areas at all. Really nice. I ordered this pen without a nib, but threaded for a JoWo nib unit, because I had recently ordered a nib unit from Jonathan Brooks at the Carolina Pen Company, and I wanted to put it in this pen. Owls like this are often considered a symbol of the Greek goddess Athena, or of the city of Athens, and I went to college for many years in a different Athens, so it seemed fitting. Also, one of my nieces is playing basketball for Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania this year, so it's a good little reminder of her too. The nice thing about getting one of these pens threaded for a JoWo nib unit is that there are lots and lots of pens out there that use JoWo nib units, so if you want to change up your nib for a while, new ones are easy to find. Here I'm swapping in a Leonardo stub nib, but I have nib units from Opus 88, Diplomat, Birmingham, and a bunch of others I could have used. This nib is broad, and it's another excellent writer, but of course that has very little to do with the pen itself. But I'll give you a quick writing sample anyway. When I ordered this pen, I was also given the choice of a couple of different grip sections. And I chose this concave one with a nice hourglass shape, which is what I also have on my Giant 9B, and it's really comfortable. Even though this is a fairly large pen, the grip section isn't that big. In the center, it's just 12 millimeters, whereas this Jinhao 9019 is 13.5 at its narrowest point, but more like 14 where you actually hold it. And the Jinhao X159 is about 12.6 at the narrowest point, although of course they both have larger nibs than my Ranga. The grip section unscrews from the body in about 10 or 11 turns, and again, the threads are so tight and perfect, I suspect that this would eyedropper pretty nicely with just a little bit of silicone grease if you wanted to fill the body of this thing with half a dozen liters of ink. And there's a bare spot above the threads if you wanted to try an O-ring. I'm not sure about that though. But the pen does come with a nice Schmidt cartridge converter, even if you don't order a nib. And speaking of size, let me show you how large this pen is compared to some of my others. First of all, here it is next to two pens that I just mentioned, the Jinhao X159, and the Jinhao 9019. Now here it is next to an Opus 88 Omar and my Ranga Giant 9B. The cap on this pen does post pretty well, but it backweighs the pen enough that it wouldn't be very comfortable to write with it for long, though quick notes and stuff would be fine. Unposted, the pen is a perfect size for my hand. Long enough and heavy enough to feel substantial, but still light enough that it's not going to cause any sort of fatigue. Uncapped, it weighs about 25 grams, which is 5 grams less than a much smaller Diplomat Arrow, also uncapped. I've told you all before that I don't really consider myself to be a pen collector, and yes, that's getting increasingly hard to believe even for me. At the moment, I have enough fountain pens that write really nicely that that's not much of a concern, so when I do buy new pens, I try not to just buy pens that are shiny new releases by popular companies or luxury brands. I don't really care about brand names at all. Instead, I try to buy pens that are somehow meaningful to me. And knowing that these pens are handmade by the wonderful people at Ranga rather than in a big factory somewhere is a really good start. Anyway, if you want to get the best prices on Ranga pens, the best thing to do is follow their Facebook page, where you'll see notifications about their group buys. And they always have at least one, but usually 2 or 3 group buys going on. That doesn't mean that you need to be part of a group that's buying pens, it just means that they're taking lots of orders for that type of pen, which helps keep costs down. This Splendour cost $74 without a nib, $79 with a nib, and Ranga offers free shipping via India Post now, for those of us who have more patience than money. And I guess I'll leave it at that this time. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, this is a good time to do it, and if you click that like button down there, it's a huge help to small channels like mine. Take care out there, everyone, and enjoy your fountain pens and ink.